You know, right now, as you're listening to this, there's a war going on inside your body. It's this silent, invisible battle that literally never stops, and it's protecting you from countless enemies every single day. It's a pretty incredible biological battleground. So let's dive in and meet the army within, your immune system.
So what does that fight actually look like? I mean, when a flu virus gets in or you catch a common cold, what's the play-by-play? Who are the soldiers on the front lines and what kind of weapons are they using? Well, that's exactly what we're about to break down.
Okay, so at the absolute heart of this whole conflict, you've got two main players. You can see them right here. On one side, we have the invader, the antigen, and on the other, our defender, the antibody. Now, don't think of this like a simple lock and key. It's more like a one-of-a-kind key designed for only one specific lock in the entire world. The whole immune response really hinges on this incredibly perfect match.
So what exactly is an antigen? Well, think of it as the invader's uniform, or maybe its ID badge. It's basically a molecular marker on the surface of a virus or bacteria that just screams to your body, hey, I don't belong here. Your immune system is expertly trained to spot these foreign uniforms and immediately sound the alarm. And the moment that alarm goes off, your body deploys its special forces, antibodies. See that distinct Y shape? These are not generic weapons. They are custom-built, precision-guided missiles. And they are so specific that an antibody made to fight the measles virus is completely useless against, say, the virus that causes COVID-19. Each one has one target and one target only. So these antibodies? They're just one part of a much larger and incredibly sophisticated defense force. Let's zoom out a little and take a look at the two main branches of your body's internal army.
Okay, so your immune system is basically split into two divisions. First up, you've got the innate system. These are your first responders. They're super fast, always on patrol, but they're generalists. They'll attack any invader they see, but they don't really learn or remember who they fought. Then you have the adaptive system. Think of these as your elite special forces. They're a bit slower to get going the first time around, but they are highly specific and, this is the crucial part, they have a memory. They never ever forget an enemy.
And within that adaptive army, you've got three key units. You have your B cells. They're the weapons factories, just churning out those specialized antibodies we talked about. You've got your T cells, the frontline soldiers doing the direct hand-to-hand, or rather cell-to-cell combat. And then you have the memory cells. These are the veterans of the army. They stick around for years, sometimes for your whole life, making sure that if the same enemy ever shows up again, the response is immediate and totally overwhelming. And that amazing ability to remember, well, that's the entire biological principle that makes vaccines possible.
Which brings us to one of the greatest inventions in human history. Vaccines are, essentially, a training program for your immune army. They're like a boot camp that allows your body to build up all those powerful memory cells without ever having to get sick from the actual disease. It's brilliant.
So one of the classic ways to do this is with a live-attenuated vaccine, like the one for measles, mumps, and rubella, the MMR shot. Scientists take the real virus and they basically weaken it in the lab so it can't make you seriously sick. But when it's injected, it looks just enough like the real thing to trick your body into mounting a full-scale defense, creating a super strong, often lifelong memory of that enemy.
Then you have the modern marvel of mRNA vaccines, a total game changer. Instead of putting a weakened virus in your body, these vaccines give your cells a temporary set of instructions, like a genetic recipe, to build just one harmless little piece of the virus. Your immune system sees that piece, learns to destroy it, and builds a powerful memory. The reason this technology is so revolutionary is its speed. We can design and make these vaccines faster than ever before, a power that actually won its creators the Nobel Prize.
DNA vaccines work on a really similar principle, but they use a stable little ring of DNA called a plasmid to deliver those instructions. Now, the key word here is stability. Unlike the more fragile mRNA, DNA vaccines don't need to be kept in those ultra-cold freezers, which makes them a fantastic option for getting them to people all over the world. And get this, India actually developed the world's very first plasmid DNA vaccine for humans, a huge milestone for global health.
But what happens when the bad guys use camouflage? Some really dangerous bacteria are covered in the sugary coating that a baby's developing immune system just can't see. The conjugate vaccine is the incredibly clever solution. Scientists link that weak, sugary disguise to a strong, well-known protein. This protein then acts like a giant flashing neon sign, forcing the immune system to finally see and attack the hidden bacteria it would have otherwise missed completely.
All right, so we've seen how our own bodies fight their internal battles. Now let's zoom way out, from a single cell to the collective health of our entire species. and take a look at the bigger picture of global public health.
And that brings us to something called herd immunity. The idea is pretty simple. When enough people in a community are immune to a disease, they form a protective firewall. The virus just runs out of places to go, and the chain of transmission breaks. This isn't just about protecting yourself. It's how we shield the most vulnerable people around us: newborn babies, the elderly, and anyone who can't get vaccinated for medical reasons.
But there's a huge and growing threat that could undermine all of this medical progress. It's often called the silent pandemic, antimicrobial resistance, or AMR. This is what happens when the germs we're trying to fight evolve, and the medicines we rely on to kill them simply stop working.
This is what leads to the rise of superbugs. These are bacteria that have literally evolved to survive our strongest medicines, and they're a direct result of us overusing and misusing antibiotics, both in hospitals and clinics and also in farming. Just imagine a world where a routine surgery or even a simple cut on your finger could become life-threatening again. That's the future we're risking, and it makes this one of the absolute biggest health challenges of our time.
And this really proves that we can't solve these huge problems in a vacuum. The One Health approach recognizes a simple but powerful truth. The health of humans, animals, and our environment are all deeply connected. I mean, when you find out that about 60% of all human infectious diseases actually come from animals, it becomes crystal clear that we can't protect ourselves without protecting the entire ecosystem.
You know, understanding all this also means using the right words. We hear these terms in the news all the time. An endemic disease is one that's just always around in a certain area, like malaria in tropical regions. An epidemic is a sudden spike in cases in one specific area, like a bad seasonal dengue outbreak. And a pandemic? Well, that's when an epidemic goes global, crossing continents, just like we all experienced with COVID-19.
But here's the good news. Science gives us the tools to fight back and to set some incredibly ambitious goals. This number, 2047, represents one of them. It's the year India has set as its target to eliminate sickle cell anemia as a public health problem. It's this massive mission that involves widespread screening and using cutting-edge science, like gene editing, to tackle a disease at its genetic source. A really powerful example of public health in action.
Which brings us to our final question. We have this incredible growing toolkit at our disposal, everything from mRNA vaccines to CRISPR gene editing, but the pathogens, the viruses and bacteria, they're always evolving too. So as we look to the future, what is the single biggest threat our global immune system will face next? What's the next great battle we need to prepare for?